stabbing. One of 8 teenage girls accused of second-degree murder of a 59-year-old Toronto man has been granted bail. The accused, whose identity is protected under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, must follow a number of conditions, including not contacting the others charged, not possessing a cell phone, and not using the internet unless for school. The accused are all between the ages of 13 to 16 and are charged with second-degree murder in the fatal stabbing near University and Front earlier this month. Well, for more on this, we are joined live by criminal defense lawyer Ari Goldkind. Ari, thanks for joining us this afternoon. First off, I mean, we've got 8 girls who are charged. Why would only one be granted bail, in your opinion?
We don't know which one of the 8 was granted bail. That's an important point to know, and we can't lump all the 8 together in terms of the specificity of what each one has probably alleged to have done. What do I mean by that? The other 7 will have their bail hearings probably in January, maybe even into February. So what I'm going to say is probably going to make some people angry. That's okay. But the bail system today worked as it did. This is a young person that is presumed to get bail. That's how our system is supposed to work, whether you're an adult or a youth. Despite the heinous nature of the charges and the fact that we're seeing what we all know to be a ramp up of violence in this city and province, as somebody who defends these kinds of cases, if the Crown Attorney, an experienced Crown Attorney who did this bail hearing over the last couple of days, doesn't like the decision, she can appeal it to the Superior Court. That's very important. But the part that the public watching us is going to be skeptical about is, look, if 8 people are accused of killing a homeless man on the street, why are any of them getting bail? The answer is because that's what our law dictates. Specifically, when you're under 18, you're thought to be a youth, and the presumption is that such a young person will get bail. Many people will not like it, but that is actually how our bail system is supposed to work.
Let's talk about some of the bail conditions and what happens if any of these conditions are breached.
So what's really interesting to me amongst the conditions that have been reported is the one that really ties into the TikTok social media, where they allegedly gathered that night and sort of went around and did a number of incidents that caught the police's attention until this act. What I see as the internet connection is the key, because that's how they got together. I'm not sure that I've seen yet a curfew or a house arrest, which keeps the person in their home, the young person. That's very common to these kinds of releases on homicide. I know this firsthand. I'm curious if there are restrictions on liberty. If there are not those restrictions on liberty, that the young person can go to school, be out and about, that tells me that the judge who heard this matter had a very keen understanding that maybe this person had a different role than the other 8, or the other 7, obviously. We don't know that to be the case. But a judge still has to go through the grounds for detention. Will the person come to court? Will the young person commit another offense while on bail? And will this release bring the administration of justice into disrepute? That's the one that the public really points their finger at. And a judge who knows all about the publicity about this, all about the news story on this, a judge heard all of that, heard the Crown put their best foot forward and said, look, this young person is still eligible for release, and I'm going to release them on the least restrictive bail possible. And whether you like it or you do not, that is what the criminal law system and the Youth Criminal Justice Act dictates.
We know that all 8 of these young girls are facing second-degree murder charges. What we don't know is exactly if all 8 physically were involved in the stabbing. As a criminal defense lawyer, what would your advice be to, if you're representing any of these girls who might not have been involved in the actual physical stabbing of this individual?
Great, Jamie, great question, and one that as a criminal defense lawyer I deal with all the time, particularly on homicides where somebody's presence, being at the scene, being near it, even being a part of it in a very minor way is different, for example, than somebody who's alleged to have held the knife, brandished the knife, or plunged the knife into another human being. The first thing I would say to the other 7 is if you haven't retained a lawyer, do it immediately. This is a country that does look after young people from a criminal justice defense point of view. Number 2, don't talk. Don't tell anybody your story. Don't get into it. It's only something that you should discuss with your lawyer, not your best friend, not on TikTok, not on Instagram, nowhere else. And number 3, as much as the city is justifiably angry about this, the criminal justice system works in the way it works. Some would say it doesn't, but it takes time. And what I would say to them is let the process play out. Trust your counsel. Don't rush a bail hearing. Obviously, we're here talking about a bail hearing today, but we know the other 7 are going to be into the new year, if not February. Let the process play out. Let the experts do what they do. And don't worry so much about what the public has to say. Deal with your case and let it be dealt with according to the Youth Criminal Justice Act.
Criminal defense lawyer Ari Goldkind, we appreciate your time and perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.